Welcome back to more How to Survive a Horror Movie. How to Kill a Vampire. They've been horror movie staples since Satan created the Terrorverse and said, "Let there be fright." Unlike clumsy slashers or a tantrum-throwing poltergeist, vampires are graceful, refined. They don't kill for pleasure or souvenirs, they kill for food. And they're not picky eaters. The young, spry, and infirm are turned into involuntary blood donors in equal numbers. Anything with a beat is meat. As vampires are fond of saying, fighting them with your bare hands is suicide. Guns, no effect. Crosses make them laugh. And contrary to popular belief, they're actually quite fond of garlic. But that's not to say that they're invincible. In fact, vampires are among the most vulnerable villains in all of horrordom, as long as you know how to exploit their weaknesses. Set fire to the lair. Every vampire has a safe house, a dark place to crash during those dangerous sunlight hours. These are often crypts, caves, and basements, places that offer plenty of protection from the deadly rays of the sun. I looked away for a second. That is as long as they stay inside. So how do you get a vampire to leave his lair during the day? Set fire to it. The vampire will wake up with two unsavory options. One, run outside and escape the fire, resulting in burned to death by sunlight. Two options, stay inside and avoid the sunlight. Result, burned to death by fire. Win-win on your side. 2, obtain a license to bless. You want to vanquish a vamp? Graduate from the seminary. Priests have the power to marry couples, preside over services, and best of all, turn regular water into holy water. And holy water is like battery acid to bloodsuckers. Sure, you could just ask a priest for a few gallons if you didn't feel like going through all the trouble, but a real vampire hunter is locked and loaded with the power of Christ 24/7, and use that power to preemptively bless as much liquid as possible. Swimming pools, bottling plants, rain clouds, even reservoirs. 3, shoot them with blood-tipped bullets or arrows. Wait, don't vampires like blood? Sure, if it's fresh and warm. If the blood comes from something that's already dead, it gives them a fatal case of food poisoning. Buy a bucket of blood from a meatpacking plant and dip your bullets or arrows in it. Let it dry and dip again. Repeat the process until each projectile is a thick scab on its tip. Pouring a teaspoon of blood into a shotgun shell works too. Open a 24-hour tanning salon. Vampires love to look good. Sexy hair, sculpted bodies, tailored outfits. But what's the one fashion accessory that's beyond their reach? A healthy tan. Vampires know that the artificial UV rays of the tanning bed won't hurt them. What they don't know is that your tanning beds come with built-in pneumatic stake drivers. Anyone who schedules a tan after midnight has to be a bloodsucker. Sure, you'll kill a few innocents here and there, but if they were tanning in the middle of the night, they were probably very lonely people anyway, and I'd say no one will miss them. Interview it. Ultimately, a vampire's vanity is its greatest weakness. No bloodsucker can turn down the chance to tell its life story, especially to an author or journalist. You'd think they'd be reclusive, cautious of drawing attention to themselves, lest they stir up any local vampire hunters, but they couldn't care less. They live long, lonely semi-lives. What's the point of it all if they don't have anyone to share it with? Place an ad like this in the classified and get ready for the phone to start ringing. Vampires wanted to be interviewed by media professionals for a sympathetic, comprehensive look at their lives. Discreet 2-hour maximum committed. No compensation. Contact your email or phone number here. How you ambush and kill them when they show up, that's your choice. Become a vampire. It's the nuclear option of anti-vampire warfare. Destroy the enemy even if it's guaranteed of your own destruction. Becoming a vampire is easy. Just wander into dark city alleys, near cemeteries if possible, until one comes along and sinks its fangs into you. As your blood is being drained, request a membership in Club Dead. They'll have you suck blood from them, and before you know it, you'll be craving some red nectar. once you're transformed. Finding other vampires will be easy since bloodsuckers can smell each other from great distances, and you'll be invited to all their parties. And since you're now as fast and strong as they are, killing them will be easy too. Of course, the rub of this whole deal is that once you're done killing all of the other vampires in your area, you'll have to kill yourself. But hey, you knew that was gonna happen. How to tell if you've been dead since the beginning of the movie? Used to be that a man knew where he stood, whether he was battling vampires or amorphous blobs. A horror hero could always count on one thing. He was alive, but these days there's a new dance that's sweeping the Terrorverse. The twist. The shocking revelation at the end of the movie. He's been dead since the 10-minute mark. It's a device that would never be accepted in any other genre. You're telling me I never made it past the toll booth on the causeway? To achieve this hoodwink, horror screenwriters give their heroes a condition known as FRED, failure to recognize earthly death. If you're trapped in a horror movie, don't take anything for granted, lest all your life. Retrace your steps. Were you recently involved in anything that could have set you to an early grave? A robbery, a car accident, a plane crash? Something you feel lucky to have narrowly survived? Do you remember what happened immediately afterwards? Did you wake up in the hospital surrounded by friends and family and flowers? Or is the whole thing a blur? Is there a large chunk of time you simply can't account for? Post-traumatic time loss is the leading indicator of FRED. Are you being haunted? FRED victims often experience a phenomenon known as reverse haunting. This occurs when the mistake living for people for ghosts, usually a family that's moved into their house. Just as ghosts appear solid to certain living people can appear as apparitions to certain ghosts. Ergo, if your condo suddenly has become infested with ghost men, women, and children who act like they own the place, they just might. 3. Observe others. How do others act towards you? Are they rude, disrespectful of your personal space? Do they fail to hold the door open and apologize when they bump into you? And has that been happening a lot? Do they avoid eye contact unless they're dog, homeless people, and or creepy children? Do your poker buddies always forget to deal you in? Are your kids more standoffish than usual? Does your wife bring strange men home and sleep with them like you're not even there? The problem may not be your less than winning personality, but rather your less than detectable pulse. 4. Break the rules. Being dead has its advantages. For one, you're not governed by rules of common sense and decency. Therefore, one of the surest ways to confirming your death is to test whether or not those still apply. Enter restricted areas. Perhaps a locker room of the opposite sex, or the Pentagon, if no one stops you, and you aren't a transvestite or 4-star general, you might be dead. Stop flushing. If no one complains after a few days, there's a chance your waste is not of this earth. Root for the Yankees at Fenway. If you don't die by the 7th inning stretch, you're already dead. Use the salad fork as your main course. If no one snickers at your stupidity, all signs point to you being morbidity. Wear socks with sandals, or black shoes with a brown handbag. If you don't get any disapproving looks from the local fashion police, you're almost certainly dead. Mess with Texas. No living human being could mess with Texas. If you succeed in messing with Texas, it's a sure bet you're as dead as Junebug in July. Be specific. Your screenwriter's working overtime to stay one step ahead of today's savvy audience. In order to make it seem as if you're still alive, the screenwriter has to create situations in which people look as if they're responding to you, even when they aren't. And to do that, the writer desperately needs you, the hero, to be as vague as possible. Listen, Sam, I know I haven't exactly been the world's best brother, but I just want you to know I love you. Why, Liam? Why do bad things happen? Which means you should be as specific as possible. What's the square root of 9? Why, Liam? Why do bad things happen? 6. Keep a time journal. Based on a handful of interviews with Fred victims who had recently become aware of their death, but not yet moved on to the next place, it seems the ghosts experience short bursts of existence. Some omnipresent editor reaches in and makes one burst seamlessly flow into the next in such a way that the ghost has no idea that anything out of the ordinary has happened. Because of this phenomenon, Fred victims are notoriously bad at keeping appointments, since their time has little to do with ours. If you're a normally punctual person who suddenly starts missing lunches or wondering where the time went, try keeping a log of your day. Simply write down where you are and what you're doing every half hour for 12 hours, and then review your log in the evening. If you have significantly fewer than 24 entries, there's a chance someone's been cutting out parts of your existence. If a man goes unnoticed in a woman's restroom, he's been dead since the beginning of the movie. Or it's not a horror movie anymore. 7. Force the issue. Ultimately, all the journal keeping and specific dialogue in the world is no match for a trip to the convenience store. You really want to know if you're dead or not? Force the issue. Walk up to a stranger and ask the time. Stroll into traffic and see if anybody swerves. Walk into the convenience store and try to buy a pack of cigarettes. If the clerk doesn't see you or hear you, you're dead. If he sells you a pack of smokes, you're alive. Careful though, those things will kill you. So next time we'll be doing Chapter 5. Fangs of Fury, Aliens and Beasts. See you guys then, and thanks. I'm glad you guys enjoy this series. Bye guys.